So today we're going to talk a little bit about this. So Kylie Feuerbach made the all Big Ten defensive team. Caitlin Clark reposting it saying Rumi was doing the defensive part for both of us for years. And for Kylie Feuerbach, it's a really, really weird one. It is a really weird one because I think there's a world where, like, you have to at least, if you're at a Fever, you consider taking Kylie Feuerbach in the draft. Not like an early pick, a second or third round pick. Like, I get it, she is Iowa, and I know I've been pushing for them to, go for Hannah Stuckey and stuff. But, like, last year, a lot of people were like, some people were pitching Lucy Olsen to the Fever. People were then like, oh, it's Iowa bias. People just want all the Iowa players to go to Indiana. And I'm like, hindsight being 2020, like, I still think the Fever made the right pick. I still think it was the right thing to do, taking Michaela Timpson. But hindsight being 2020, Lucy Olsen is 10 times the player Michaela Timpson is. Like, KK Timpson is just hypothetical. He is just a complete. She's a hypothetical, but like Kylie Feuerbach is just Lexie Hull, and I understand Lexie Hull has been a significantly better shooter than Kylie Feuerbach. Like, was a significantly better shooter in college than Kylie Feuerbach is, but like Kylie Feuerbach is the kind of glue for the 8th best team in the nation. Like, that is not easy to be. She's obviously somebody that's familiar with Caitlin Clark. And how vital is that role, especially if you're going to lose Lexie, because it's looking very unlikely that the Fever are going to be able to afford to keep Lexie, Sophie, and Kelsey Mitchell. I personally think out of those three, I still like the best of those three is Kelsey Mitchell. I would obviously, if it wasn't for the fact of the contract situation and the fact that Kelsey Mitchell is a trade asset, I would absolutely keep Kelsey Mitchell. But the thing is, with Kelsey Mitchell being a tradable asset, you're probably now looking at this situation with now looking at Kelsey Mitchell being like, okay, do we have to go and trade her? Or if we end up keeping Kelsey Mitchell, you might lose Lexie. It's like, do you want to lose Lexie or Sophie? And like, even though Lexie is nearly irreplaceable, I would rather keep Sophie and draft Feuerbach in the second round, where she'll probably be available, and have her do Lexie things. Because yes, Lexie Hull's a better player than Kylie Feuerbach. But like, as far as the getting over screens, drawing charges, the hustle plays, they do that in a similar way. They absolutely do that in a similar way. The difference is that Lexie, who has been at her best as a much better offensive player than Feuerbach, but Lexie's been a horrific offensive player as a pro. Like, Lexie has been, outside of a purple patch to end one season and start the next season, like, she's been terrible. I'm going to be real here. She's outside of that situation. She's been terrible. So it's one of those things with Lexie that it's very important when it comes to Lexie, the defensive playmaking. But I've always said getting rid of Lexie becomes really, really tough purely because of the what ends up happening when it comes down to it with not being able to replace that type of hustle. But now I'm just like, you know what? I'm not that opposed to it anymore. Because, again, Kylie Feuerbach is available. She is available. And it just depends on what... She's going to be available on a minimum. You could sign her on a 4-year minimum contract. Whereas Lexie... I think Lexie's going to command 500-600K. Which the Fever can't afford. Like, there is a world where the Fever could fuck up and not be able to pay Caitlin Clark the max. Or fuck up and be left with negative assets like the Katie Lou contract. Like, and by the way, if they sign Lexie Hull or Sophie, or whatever Sophie, like, Lexie is for me, Sophie Cunningham would be a much more like sought after asset than Lexie Hull. Purely because, for me, Sophie Cunningham, just the extra shooting, the passing, the offense is much, much better. And I do think there is a not a big gap in level between the two of them, but there's a gap. There's absolutely a gap. So you've got that. And now I'm looking at it and I'm like, you've now got a situation where you have a ready-made replacement there as a like for like. And I wouldn't have the two of them on the same team. I think that's kind of, you're almost wasting a roster spot in that. But like, I'm okay with, like, and it's one of those things people are like, oh, you just want to get all the Iowa crew back together. I'm like, I wouldn't be opposed to it. Like, I'm not saying to bring back Monica Zanano or anything. I'm not even saying to bring back Kate Martin. I'm not out here saying to bring out Sydney Fulter. At the end of the day, like, if they can find a better power forward than Michaela Timpson, like, if it's between Grace Van Sloten and Hannah Stolke in the draft, like, it's a really close one. Like, between Grace Van Sloten and Hannah Stolke, that becomes a really, really close, close matchup, because Van Sloten is really, really good as that backup power forward. And both of them are significantly better than KK Timpson. And that's the one thing I don't think people like understand, is like, KK Timpson is just a hypothetical player. She is a hypothetical player. And I think when it comes down to Indiana Fever long term, I don't think Stephanie White's good enough at developing a player. Like, we saw it in overseas. Like, KK Timpson looked lost. We saw it in Unrivaled. I know she made that really good defensive play on Hamby. But, like, watch all the minutes. And, like, KK Timpson is literally just kind of standing there in space watching offensive rebounds go in. It's like, her positional sense, I've never in my life seen a pro with as poor positional sense as KK Timpson. Like, I always said I thought rookie Caitlin Clark was the worst off-ball defender I've ever seen in basketball. Like, genuinely, I thought that she might have been the worst off-ball defensive player coming off screens I've seen ever in my life. KK Timpson is like levels above. Like, sorry, Nalissa Smith's worse than Caitlin Clark, but like, KK Timpson makes Nalissa Smith's off-ball defense look competent. So, like, I'm okay with them doing something and getting rid of her and replacing her with someone better. Stokey is better, but like, it doesn't have to be Stokey, obviously. But if the Fever are gonna lose Lexie Hull, which there's a genuine chance that they will, and that's not like even a knock on Lexie Hull. Like, they can't afford to keep Lexie Hull, Sophie Cunningham, and Kelsey Mitchell. They can't afford to run it back because of this new situation with Aaliyah Boston's contract. They don't have the money to do it. So, for me, if you're gonna lose Lexie, like, Feuerbach is a very similar type of player that you're not going to have to put major draft capital into. You can guarantee her with a second round pick, and the likelihood of her being there in the third round by the time you pick is extremely high. So yeah, look, I am very much on the side of this is not a bad pick. This is a high upside, low risk pick for the Fever. And let me know what you guys think in the comment section below. As always, thank you guys for watching. Please like, comment, and subscribe.